Hi everyone, I'm Dr. James Matthew. Welcome to the channel Vision. We are going to discuss about impulsivity and its related issues and what is the brain area involved in it and what is the treatment method, what we can do with it. When we talk about impulsivity is something, a push from within to act without using a thought. In other words, impulsivity is an urge from within that doesn't allow us to think and force us to act on something. When we study about impulsivity, the brain area that is involved in this particular condition is the prefrontal cortex, so the outermost layer of the brain, the frontal side, and the basal ganglia, where the motor learning and the emotions that are all involved. Why I selected the topic impulsivity today? Because I think impulsivity is a major problem in many of our lives, and it's very important to have a control over our impulsivity. Let's take few examples. I have my mobile, I open it, and I open the Amazon, a marketing app, and I find various products, and I scroll down. Suddenly, I saw something. I got an urge to possess it, and suddenly I have Google Pay or Paytm or whatever the thing, and while I see it, suddenly I just go for it. I don't use my brain, I never use my thinking whether it is actually a need of mine or want of mine. There is a major difference between need and want. Need is something that that helps us to survive, helps us to grow, and want can be anything, any number of things. And want has no ending, and need has always endings. I want everything in the world, and I am happy about it, but what I need is very little. In other words, want has no limits. Any number of things I have in my possession, still I will be wanting more and more. When we do not have a control over our impulses, we will be going behind our wants because we do not use our thinking to differentiate whether this particular like is a want or need. Let's take another example. I am traveling to abroad, and I am on my way to airport, and my visa date is almost end. And while I was driving, I found someone just behind me took an overtake of my vehicle, and he got a sharp cutting just in front of my car, and I got infuriated. I started abusing him in my mind, and I said I must show him something. So I took the speed over, and I made an overtake over him, and blocked his car, came out of him, and started abusing him, and he abused me in return. And suddenly I punched him on his nose. He fainted down. Suddenly police came, took me to police station. My flight I missed, and visa date was already over, and I could not go to abroad. Here, what happened? Because of my impulsivity, I never thought what is my priority. My priority is that my job, I have to rejoin my job. But here, my impulse started working. I never thought about what is important. Let's take another example. We are going for a buffet, and we found we are on diet. Of course, I am diabetic, or I am under project of weight control, and I went to a buffet and lot many dishes. In fact, I like all of them, but I was controlling myself. But I found my friends, everybody is enjoying all sorts of varieties of food, and I was sitting nearby them, having my food, very few vegetables and all. They eat non-veg and all kind of things. Then I found, maybe this time I can avoid it. I went for a second time and suddenly went into that non-veg items and I started eating as much as I want. So that is an impulse. I never think about it. I don't. My impulse started working on. Another example we can talk about sexual impulses. Many of us have got sexual impulses. We have sexual attractions to the opposite sex. And what if I am going in a crowd and suddenly I found beside me a beautiful, sexy lady, and she is going, and I was so attracted, I was charged, and suddenly my hand started moving without asking permission of my thoughts. And you know what happens. Now you know how important it is to have a control over impulses, to have a steady life, a comfortable life, a planned life, because impulses do not allow us to proceed with a plan because it jumps into action. It never goes on the step by step procedure. Impulses do not allow us to achieve our goal because when we set a goal, we have multiple sub goals and we skip all these sub goals and jump into. So now we know many of us are having this problem of impulse control, in other words, self control. But there are times in few of our lives it can be at a disorder level. It is not in a normal. It's not like a impulse in a normal routine. It goes into a pathological level, and it comes as a major disorder, psychiatric disorder. In ICD, International Classification of Mental and Behavioral Disorders, this particular disorder is rubric under habit and impulse disorder. Here, it is explained as it is characterized by repeated behaviors without a clear motive that harms our interest and that interest of others. Often, patients will come and report the behavior associated with impulses to action was not under control. Here we have four main categories of disorder. First one is that kleptomania. Kleptomania, you know, an impulse to steal something. Here we must be very careful. Every stealing is not a kleptomania. It becomes kleptomania because I have an impulse to steal something. It is not monetary purpose because thieves steal something to sell it out and make money out of it. Okay, but here the person with kleptomania, they steal it not for for monetary purpose. It is to satisfy themselves. And what they do, either they will hoard it with them, piling up things after another, or they will keep it with them and enjoy them for some time. Either they will throw it out or give it to somebody else. Their craze is over. And here the person steals something, it's out of impulse, not out of a motive to steal it. If I steal it, it would value this much in the market, I will sell it there. There is a planning, of course. And for this kleptomania, there is no planning. It's only to pick it up. That's all. Second disorder in this category is pathological gambling. And here it says it consists of repeated gambling, and it's a social context, its family is disturbed out of it, and all these legal problems will be there. In spite of that, he keep on repeating this gambling, and here the person has got lot of financial crisis. In spite of that, he keeps on doing that. He break the law to obtain money to get involved in this gambling, and he evades payment of debts, and later having trouble for himself and in his family. And that's what pathological gambling as a disorder. The third disorder under this category is pyromania, pathological fire setting. Here, the person is involved in fire items like matches, lighter, and he always wants to set fires in different places. and it has no motive as such. He just loves it, doing it. Here, this person, he will be having an abnormal interest over fire engines and fire extinguishers and all kind of things. One thing we must keep in mind is that person having this pathology, he doesn't have a motive to fire set. Okay, it's without a motive. The fourth one, the last one in this category is trichotillomania. What is trichotillomania? It is a pathological pulling the hair out of the head. And in this case, you will find the person going bald because it's always associated with the tension, anxiety. So he finds some relief in pulling the hair each and every hair of his head. There are other impulsive conditions at a pathological level in psychiatry, like ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. In this, the person suffers from impulsivity, and later, once it is not healed, later it is characterized as the antisocial personality disorder. There also, the person suffers from impulse control disorder. Here, in this both disorders, impulsivity is a major symptom, and difficulty to control impulse can be at a syndromal level in many psychiatric conditions. Here, in this video, I am just showing a Doberman puppy during his training. He is a 3.5 months old puppy. I am just helping him to control his impulses. So, food is something that a puppy likes most, and he loves to come to run to food and take it. So I want him to control that impulse. He will get the food, but he has to wait. Wait. The word wait has got a lot of meaning in this context of impulse control. I ask the puppy to wait, and I give the food. He wait for it, and in the video you will see, once I drop the food pellet in the bowl, the puppy will look at me. Yes, boss. Tell me, can I take it? Then I say, yeah, you can take it. Then he goes and take it. So I help the puppy. I help the puppy to control his impulses. Yes.
Why do I feel like I'm drowning? Like I'm running out of air. Why do I feel like I'm falling when I'm nowhere near the edge? Just let me know. Can you be the one to hold and not let me go? I need to know. Could you be the one to call when I lose control?
Yeah. Let's come to human issues, how we can control impulsivity in our children, in ourselves, even as adults. I did a video just a few days back that was about behavioral corrections, and in that I mentioned how if you want to give something to your child when they request, if you are able to afford it, if you have it with you, and if you want to give it, you give it to him. And if you don't want to give, you never give it. Whatever happens, whatever the tender tantrums the child expresses, don't give. And here I would add another thing into that. If your child comes and asks you something, and if you want to give it, don't give him immediately. Don't grant him immediately. Just make him wait. Wait. I will give you in the evening. Then the child will say, no, I want it now. So in order to get rid of that irritation from the child, we just give it. And in the other video I said, we manufacture irritating personalities in our home. So this is how we manufacture such personalities in our house. So we must make the boy wait. No, I will not give. If you ask more, I will not give after half an hour. It will be 1 hour. And if you make again no more noise, I will give you only in the evening. So the boy knows, why should I get it in the evening? I should get it after half an hour. It is better to keep quiet. So his impulses, and in order not able to control his impulses, he makes that tender tantrum. That also he controls it. And that is how we must train our children. Everything they should wait and get, wait and get. And while waiting, they have, no, I want it, I want it, I want it. That impulses, they will be able to feel it, they will be able to manage it within themselves. That's how we must teach our children to control their own impulses. For adults, now what we can do upon ourselves, it is always make a habit of taking decision. If something, we are dealing with a person and we are making a deal, so all of a sudden this deal came, and don't jump into it. Maybe we see the best thing of it and we jump into making the deal. Always make a habit. Okay, in 2 days time we will come again and we will finalize it. Just give a time for ourselves. Just give a time for ourselves to think and plan, think about the merits and demerits, or the advantages or disadvantages, and what are the difficulties that we can we may be able to face if we are agreeing and if we are not agreeing. And another thing, I spoke about the example of purchasing things online. So make it a habit. Every time you scroll something, you saw something, and keep up week time if it is not that urgent. Just give yourself a week time and you go for purchase, so that during this week you will have lots of thoughts within, and sometimes your thoughts will be able to suppress your impulsivity. Otherwise the impulsivity will overrule your brain, cloud your brain, and you will not be able to think. You will be emotionally jump into action, and finally what happens, you will be at loss. So make it a habit. Give time to yourself. Thank you for watching the video, and stay tuned. I will be coming with more interesting topics that will help every one of us, that will help our pets too.